I keep casting on whips and not finishing them, so that's about all you need to know. Hi, hello, welcome back to Study Knits. My name is Allie. If you're new here, I'm a medical student and I love knitting. This is podcast number 4. Yes, this is podcast number 4. I have a ton of whips, so it's just a very, very whip-heavy podcast. Only one finished object. Little life updates. Like I said, I'm a medical student. I just started my 4th year, which is really fun. I'm having a really good time. For the next year, I'm bouncing around different places. I'll be in a different place pretty much every month, which is pretty cool, but also a little unstable. But it's cool to go to new places. So right now I am in New York. I'm staying with my boyfriend's family, which is really fun. It's very kind of them to house me. So I'm sitting in my boyfriend's childhood room that I've been staying in for the past couple of weeks. I also, in my introductions, I started it last podcast, but I talk about things that I've learned since I last made a podcast, because I'm a relatively new knitter. I've been knitting for 4 years, and my technical skills as a knitter are good, but my working knowledge of yarn and knitting and things like that is still growing. So in my last video, I made an intarsia top, which is just a way of working color work. If you don't know what intarsia is, I made an intarsia top, and I said you can only work intarsia flat. And somebody commented and said, you can actually work it in the round. There's a YouTuber who does knitting tutorial videos. Her name is Suzanne Bryan. I'll link the video below, but she has a tutorial on how you can work intarsia in the round, which is very exciting. I mean, I don't mind working things flat and in panels, but it's just much nicer to work in the round. I think we can all pretty much agree on that. So disclaimer, I have not tried this technique. I've not worked an intarsia pattern since finding out about this, but I watched the video. It seems doable. I don't know. Next time I work intarsia, I will most certainly be trying it, because 1, why not try it? And 2, it seems easier than working it flat. So that's something interesting that I learned. I truly had no idea. I've worked a couple of intarsia projects and I had no idea you could knit them in the round. Truly no idea. If you watched my last video, I recorded it in between taking my boards. I took one on Monday, one on Friday, and I think I recorded on Thursday. So I did take the one on Friday. I passed the first one that I took, and I find out about the second one in a couple of weeks. So more life updates. So before I get started telling you about my one singular finished object and my whole pile of whips, I'll tell you about what I'm wearing. You might recognize this. This is the Cloud Top by Petite Knit. I finished it about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago. I absolutely love it. It's knit in We Are Knitters the cotton in the color mauve. It knit up so quickly, and I've gotten a ton of wear out of this since I finished it. It's super easy just to throw on with jeans, and it's incredibly comfortable. It's a DK fiber. I used 4mm needles, so it knit up so quickly. It's so comfy, it's breathable, it's really cute. I wear it a ton and I love it. This was yarn from a previously frogged project, so it makes it even more satisfying to wear that I turned yarn from a project that I didn't love into something that I truly love and I wear all the time. And I love it. So the Cloud Top by Petite Knit, everyone. Okay, let's just get into it. My only finished object. This is the boat neck batwing top by James N. Watts. I heavily modified it, so I'll talk about that in a bit. This is knit with Rowan mercerized cabled cotton. Rowan cabled mercerized cotton in the color Natural, which is a discontinued yarn. If you've been following along with my previous podcasts, you know that this was an ordeal to make. I'll put up a picture of what the pattern is supposed to look like. I made a decent amount of modifications to it, and I love it. I'm really happy with the modifications that I made. But if you can see from the original picture, it's doesn't have any sleeves because it's a batwing top, so it's supposed to have the bat wing shape and no sleeves. And it kind of starts narrow and at the waist. You work increases along the sides until it's the shoulder width. So I didn't work any increases. I cast on at the beginning down here. I cast on the number of stitches in my size that were going to be the final number of stitches around the shoulders. So I didn't work any increases. I basically just cast on as if I had already worked all the increases. I worked in the round for however long this is, truly until I felt like it was long enough. Then I worked back and forth for the front and the back, joined it together at the shoulders, exactly like how it was in the pattern. And then after I did that, I picked up stitches along the shoulder and I worked in the round for the sleeves again until I felt like it was long enough, until I felt something. I think I just knit two together for the last round and then bound off tightly so that it gives it like kind of a billowy sleeve that's still tight at the wrist. This was a gamble. I honestly had no idea how it would turn out. I have previously gone rogue in projects before, done modifications, and a lot of times, most of the time, it doesn't turn out well for me. This time, I saw somebody on Love Island wearing a beach cover-up top that looked kind of similar to this, and I decided I really wanted something like that. So I stopped what I was doing with this and basically just recast on with this in mind. I have gotten a lot of wear out of it since I finished it. I'm so glad I added the sleeves. I think it's so cute. Got a ton of compliments on it. I'm really happy, really, really happy with how it turned out, and I'm glad I modified it. The yarn, it's definitely getting discolored. It's kind of turning orangey, and I'm not really sure why. I have like the original yarns. I have some left over. You can see it's turning pinkish orangish. It's more pronounced definitely at the like cast off edges and the neckline, but which would make sense if I was wearing makeup and I was like getting makeup on it, but I've worn it at the beach when I don't wear makeup. The only thing is I'm like, maybe the sunscreen is making it turn a different color, but it's just like regular sunscreen that hasn't ever made anything else that I've worn turn a different color. So I'm really not sure what's going on. I'm not gonna say that I'm like complaining. It's a beach cover up. It's gonna get tossed and turned around. It's not gonna always be in perfect shape, but I do kind of worry about the longevity of this. It's also knit, I don't even know what the stitch is called, but it's very it's fishnet. It's a lace pattern. And it already just feels kind of like frail, if you know what I mean. I also worry that the weaving the ends in, it's because it's a cable mercerized cotton, it's a little slippery than normal cotton. It doesn't have a ton of grip, and I'm so worried that it's gonna unravel. It's cute and I love it. My only concern is just the longevity of it. So I've only worn it like 4 times. I've only been to the beach 4 times since I finished it. I do worry about if this will hold up for a long time. And honestly, if it doesn't hold up for a long time, you know, that's fine. I'm not going to treat it any more delicately than I would treat a normal knitted item, because I spent a lot of time on it. I worked really hard on it. I might as well get some wear out of it. And if it only lasts me 2 seasons before it falls apart, so be it. This yarn was gifted to me by a family friend, and for a really long time I was trying to figure out what to make with it. So I made this. I have another project cooking with it now that I'll talk about later. So I'm at least glad that I got to use this yarn. I don't think I ever would have bought it for myself. So I'm glad I finally got to use some of this yarn that's been sitting in my stash for several years. I did finish it in time for my beach trip. For those of you wondering, before my last video that I released, I was really stressed about getting this done in time to take it to the beach with my friends, and I did in fact finish it. I finished it at like maybe midnight the night before we left, and I still had time to wash and block it. So I went up in needle size. I used a 5.5mm needle, and the pattern called for a 4.5 millimeter needle. I was more so worried. I'd seen people on Ravelry talking about how it was a little tighter than they expected. I was kind of between sizes, so I chose the smaller size and used a bigger needle. Overall, really happy with it. I think I would definitely make this again. I would consider making without the sleeves and then also with the sleeves, because I do think it's really cute. It's a very, very cute beach cover up. Yeah, that's it. Boat neck batwing, but modified with sleeves. Happy it turned out well. It's segueing nicely from the boat neck batwing. This is the Lime Skirt by LaPole. It's very fun. This is knit also using the same yarn from the boat neck batwing, the Rowan cabled mercerized cotton in natural. This is like actually fishnet. Can you see? It's very stretchy. This is called fillet stitch. Never worked it before. I can't say that I'm enjoying this project. I'm going to enjoy the finished piece, I know that, but I don't love lace. I don't love knitting lace. I think I've said it before, I stand by it. I love the result, but I don't love knitting it. Especially this is really just a 3-stitch repeat over and over again. And it's not like stockinette or rib where I can get in the hang of it and not really look at it and not have to pay attention to it. I still have to pay attention to what I'm doing, but it's monotonous and it's like over and over again. But I love the result. It's so pretty. And I know I'm even though I said this and I worked on it yesterday and I was sat there knitting it and I was like, I'm really not enjoying this. I love the result. And I can tell you right now, I'm gonna want another one. LaPole also has another pattern also in fillet stitch. I believe they're called the Orange Trousers. Let me check. Yes, they are called the Orange Trousers. And they're basically just this fillet stitch, but like long flare pants. And I love them. I think they're so cute, and this is so cute. However, I don't enjoy making it. Like I mentioned before, this yarn was gifted to me by a family friend, and it is also discontinued. I'm making this, I think I have this much left, and then I have another skein left. And this right here is like maybe one full skein. It's supposed to stretch a lot when you block it. I mean, I think you can tell it's gonna stretch a lot. So I'm pretty much just gonna knit. I took it to the beach with me yesterday, and now there's sand on me. But I'm pretty much just gonna knit this until I run out of yarn, and however long it ends up being is however long it ends up being. The one that she made in the pattern is recommended to be full length, and that I really like that look. So that's why I'm saying I could see myself making another one, because I know this isn't gonna be full length. I think if I'm lucky, it'll hit the knees, maybe a little below the knees. I think this is maybe the first time that I've knit something with an elastic waistline or an elastic band. I've knit things, I've like added elastic in at the end of projects, but never made like a waistband or anything. It was tedious but fun. Like, it's nice that it's got like a stretchy waistband. It called for, I want to say, 1/4 inch thick piece of elastic. I did not have one of those, and I was simply too lazy to go buy one. So what I did have was a bunch of elastic cord that I bought to sew into the armholes and the neckbands of projects so they didn't stretch out. So I just measured out the size that I wanted it to be, and then had like 4 loops of it. So it ended up being kind of the same thickness as what was called for in the pattern, but instead of me having to go buy something else, it's just 4 cords. Wait, I think I have it. I can show you. Yeah, it's literally just this. And then I looped it 4 times, and that's my waistband. So I hope it holds up. If it doesn't, oh well. But like I said, I think the yarn, if the skirt goes the same way that the boat neck batwing top went, then I don't know how long it'll hold up. If you remember from my boat neck batwing top, I had to completely start over because I put it in my project bag and it fell off the needles, and since it's lace, I had no idea how to like fix the drop stitches. And the same goes for this. So I have my sparkly skull needle stoppers so that I don't have to restart this, because that would make me so sad. I will say about this project though is that it's easy. It's easier than most lace projects in my opinion to fix my mistakes, because it's so simple. It's just a 3-stitch repeat again and again and again. It's so much easier to fix my mistakes with this one, which I am enjoying. I don't know that I'll finish it honestly this season. I would love to finish all of my, like, get through all of my summer knitting plans by like the end of August, I would say, but if not, no worries. I forgot to turn off the AC before I started recording, so I hope you couldn't hear any background noise from it. You probably could. Oh well. Pretty much nothing else to say about this, but I feel like they go well together. Right, a cute top and skirt combo. That was my vision. Okay, don't look too closely. It's a tangled mess. This is the Eva top by Mochi Knits. This is it. This is, I believe this is the front. This is the back. Okay, this is it. I mean, it's something. It didn't take that long to make. I think this is like maybe 2 days worth of work on it. I joined in the round and I looked at it and I was like, I think the neck straps are too long. Or I think they're just simply too long. Let me rewind. This is the Eva top by Mochi Knits. I am knitting this using stashed, or not even stashed, just like leftover yarn. Wool in the Gang Shiny Happy Cotton. This is Ivory White, and this is Bizarre Orange. It's kind of a hot mess, as you can tell by this. I also have, this is what's left over from my my cloud top in the We Are Knitters, the cotton in mauve. So it's also like mixed in there. Okay, I like the stripes. I like the layout of the top. I like where it's going. I fear that the straps are too long. That's what I fear. And I fear that because the straps are too long, I'm never gonna wear it. So when I joined in the round and kind of held it up, I was like, these are too long. I really think they're too long. And so now I don't really want to continue working on it, because I feel like I'm going to keep working on it. I'm going to finish it and I'm never going to want to wear it. I know when I work the I-cord edging, it'll cinch it up a little bit. I don't know if it's going to make enough of a difference. I fear that I will work the I-cord, which will take not a really long time, but it's tedious. I fear that I'll work the I-cord and it won't make enough of a difference. And then I'll have to undo the I-cord. I'll have just a bunch of, because this is obviously striped, I'll have a bunch of like this, just like varying lengths of yarn. I just don't know. But this took me maybe like 2 days to make. It's so speedy because it's on 6mm needles. Like it knits up so quickly. Then I'm like, what's the big deal if you have to unravel it and redo it? You're losing like 2 days worth of work. Like, get over yourself, you'll be fine. And then the other thing is I think that this is all of the yarn that I have left for this, which doesn't really seem like a lot. I mean, I knew it was gonna be really cropped anyways, but then that's just another reason to maybe make a smaller size or use a smaller needle, because then I'll have more yarn left over to make it at least a little bit longer. So I'm just kind of at a standstill with this. This is it on me. I think you can see. If not, this is kind of what it's gonna, it's very clearly the straps are too long right now. Do we think it can be fixed with I-cord, or do we think that I need to restart it? I would love to know what you think, because I have a couple other projects right now. Realistically, I won't get around to this for another week or so, unless I just like have a very strong urge to work on this. My plan was to use as much of this as possible for the I-cord edge, because I thought it would be just a fun pop of purple. Either way, it's gonna look funky and retro, which was the vibe that I wanted. So I mean, I like the stripes, I like where it's going. So I was gonna, I think, use this for the neck and then see how much I have left, and if I have enough to eke out the armholes, I'll eke out the armholes. Yeah, please let me know what you think. Let me know what I should do. Either way, I need to untangle this. It's a hot mess and it's giving me anxiety which is why I have not picked it up. It's just been sitting in my project bag, getting more and more tangled. So let me know. On a brighter note, this is camisole number 5. Is it number 5? I'm sorry, small rant. I hate when people name things with numbers. Like all of my favorite things knitwear, it's all just numbers. And I can't remember which one is which. Every single time I try to search for this, I try to talk about this, I say camisole number 5, I think. And then I have to check, and it's just very annoying. Okay, sorry, small rant over. So this is camisole number 5 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I'm knitting this in Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Dark Cognac. It's this lovely warm brown color. I'm almost done with it. I woke up about a week ago and I was like, I think I want to make the camisole number 5. That's what I did. I've pretty much been only working on this all week. This is about 1 week's worth of progress. You can see I've got like a decent amount of the body done. I'm considering, because I know it'll stretch a lot when I block it, I'm considering, no, I'm gonna add a couple more inches. I think she calls for my size, 28 centimeters from the underarm, and this is about 20 centimeters. A little more to go and then I'll call it a day. This has been really fun to make. I love a textured knit. As much as I don't like color work and as much as I don't like lace, I love a textured knit. So this is knit in, this is 2x2 ribs, so knit 2, purl 2 throughout the entire thing. And if you're looking at it, you're probably thinking, oh, it looks a little different than the other ones that I've seen. It's because I've made modifications again. I've gone rogue. You watched, I think, my last one or maybe 2 ones ago, I made the twist loop top by Other Loops, and it was too big. I'm going to redo it, but basically it has kind of a similar shape as the camisole number 5, where it's narrow at the shoulders and then you increase along the arm, and making it kind of like tighter at the neck, more like spaghetti strap-ish at the neck, and then it gets wider into like a tank top. I tried on my finished twist loop top and it was too big, and I didn't like the shape at the shoulders. I thought it made my shoulders look really big. I didn't think it was flattering on myself. So I decided to do some modifications. So if you can see the shoulders, this needle is really awkward, but I'm working on the armhole of this one, so we're just gonna have to deal with this needle being right there the whole time. So I just cast on more stitches at the shoulder so that it's a bit of a bulkier shoulder, and it'll end up being a little more shaped like this, where you cast on here and it sort of drops straight down and it's more of a drop shoulder. I also think that'll make it more bra friendly. The reason is twofold. So what I've done, I believe I cast on 16 extra stitches here. You know, I think once it stretches, it'll be like this. Definitely more my style. I think I see myself wearing this more than if it was tighter at the neck. Anyways, I just cast on 16 more stitches here. I worked the neck increases the exact same way in the pattern, and I just waited to do the underarm increases. In theory, you would start armhole increases here, would increase, so I waited until there would have been 16 increases, and then I started working increases. So I just waited until the stitch count was the same before I started increasing. Basically, I did the same thing on the front and the back. I ended up with the same amount of stitches in the body overall. I just simply worked less increases and started working the increases later. I worked the increases the same so that there's still the 2x2 rib that follows the armhole down. Part of the charm and the appeal of the pattern is the fact that the increases start so high up, and then you have this column of ribbing that follows the armhole edge. I think that's really pretty, and I do really like the way that it looks, but I didn't like it enough to justify having the smaller straps. You definitely miss out on the look of the shaping by making the straps wider, but I think in the long run I'll get much more wear out of it by doing that. I've also seen some people on Ravelry work, this is the double knitted band that you work afterwards. I've seen some people work a thicker double knitted band, but it also makes it bulkier in the underarm, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't love the way that looked, so I considered doing that. I'm knitting this with 3mm needles. These are my Chowgoos, love them. In the pattern, she says to use US 3 needle, parentheses 3mm needle. I did not realize that there was a discrepancy in the pattern because a 3mm needle is a US 2.5 and a US 3 needle is, I believe, a 3.5mm needle or a 3.25mm needle. Either way, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter that much. I only realized when I went to start the underarm finishing and it said to use a US 3 needle. I was like, oh, do I need to use a bigger needle than what I've been using? I went back to the beginning of the pattern because, as you all know, I don't really read the pattern that well. And she said that. And so I was like, well, you know, I swatched beforehand. My gauge was on with the 3mm needle. So I just continued with that. But it's interesting. I actually think I might email her about it because it did kind of bug me. It just bugs me when I pay a decent amount of money for a pattern and then there's like mistakes in it. But it's fine. But I think I might reach out to her and just let her know. This is also my first time knitting a My Favorite Things knitwear pattern. I've never knit something from her before, mostly because of all of the drama maybe like a year or two ago about how a lot of her patterns aren't size inclusive. So usually whenever I see a pattern of hers that I like, I find that there's an equally a pattern that's like pretty similar that's by a smaller designer that's like size inclusive. This one, I feel like I've been eyeing it for a couple of summers now and always wanted to make it. I don't feel like there's anything that similar out there, at least that I could find. So yeah, I decided to make this. The pattern was like easy to follow, easy to read. I enjoyed doing the double knitting armhole edge. I don't think I've worked a finishing edge like this ever. I believe the neck is worked similarly. I was reading the pattern though. I was reading ahead, very unlike me, but I was reading the pattern. I couldn't quite figure out what the neck was gonna do. I think it's worked in double knitting. I haven't quite figured out how that's gonna go yet. I was reading it, I was getting a little confused. So that's obviously my next step. Once I finish this armhole, then I'll work the neck edge. And this is my last skein of the Knitting for Olive merino. I only bought 3, which was a good move. I was considering buying 4, so I'm glad I bought 3 because this is definitely going to be enough. So I'll finish the armhole edge, I'll work the neck edge, and then I think I might just work the body until I run out of yarn, unless it gets to be super long. I don't want it to be too long, but I do want it to be like easy to tuck in, and then when I sit down it doesn't ride up in the back. All in all, that's it with this one. You'll see my next project is Knitting for Olive merino as well. I knit a lot of Knitting for Olive merino this summer. I think next summer I think I want to dabble in the Knitting for Olive cotton merino. I've not tried it yet. I don't find these to be too suffocating in the summer just because merino is so breathable. They can be suffocating at times. I also do get a decent amount of wear out of my Knitting for Olive merino garments in the fall and spring. I'm envisioning myself wearing this as like a tank top underneath like a cardigan or a v-neck in the winter, sort of as like another layer. So I don't see this being an exclusively summer top, which is why I chose the merino for it instead of the cotton merino. But next summer I do want to make some cotton merino tops and see how they wear and how they compare to the merino. I think that's about it with this. Hopefully I'll finish this in the next couple of days because I'm just like flying through it. This was really, I really just started this a week ago and I feel like I'm like almost done. I did spend all day, pretty much all day Saturday. I joined in the round and I worked the entire body and did this entire armhole edge and caught up on Love Island UK. It was truly, I just sat on the couch and that's all I did. And I had a great day. I didn't feel the need to do anything else. So yeah, I've definitely been like flying through this because it's really enjoyable to knit. So I just hope it's as enjoyable to wear, and I hope that my modifications, I hope that they are everything that I hoped and dreamed they were. So that's it for that. My last whip, I've already talked about this in one podcast, but this is my Harvest Tee by Ozetta. This is also knit in Knitting for Olive Merino. This is the color Thundercloud. Just to recap, I did a provisional cast on here because this is my third one of these that I've made. I made one for myself and one for my mom last summer. For the two that I made last summer, I used almost exactly 4 skeins of Knitting for Olive, and I wanted to make sure that I also used like exactly 4 skeins again. It's worked, well, as you can tell, it's worked from the bottom up. So I did a provisional cast on, I worked the whole front and the back, I've done the neck, I've done one sleeve, and I need to do the other sleeve. Then I'll pick up the provisional cast on here and just work in the round until I run out of yarn. It's entirely stockinette, it's fingering, it's a tee, so it's definitely, it's simple, but it's a lot of work, as you can tell. So it's been a nice like slow whip to have, something to pick up when I just want to like do stockinette in the round and that's it, and not really think about anything else. Be a like slow whip. The only thing about this, it's weird. Usually my gauge is very consistent throughout, even when working flat and in the round. Here is where I worked in the round, and here's where I started working flat. The gauges are like very different. You can tell when I stretch it that they're very different. It's much looser in the top than in the round, and I don't really know why. Like I said, this hasn't really happened before. With this one, you can tell it's worked in the round and then worked flat. About here, I started to work in the round, and there's like not really any difference in gauge here. Same with, you know, like same with this one, worked flat, worked in the round, like pretty much the same. So I don't really know why this one would be any different. And the same thing didn't happen with my Harvest Tees last summer, and I used the same yarn. The only thing I can think is that I used my metal Chowgu needles to knit this one, and I used wooden Takumi clover needles to knit the other ones last year. So the only thing I can think of is maybe the way the stitches, like maybe they were just crowded on the needles too much. The metal needles being really crowded in the round made the stitches tighter, and then when I switched to knitting flat, they spread out a bit more, and it allowed for a bigger gauge because I did use the metal needles to knit in the round and knit flat. It's quite a difference looking at it. So I don't really know what I'm gonna do about it. And then, oh, now that I'm looking at it, I feel like the sleeve is a different gauge than the panels, like the front and the back panel. I don't know, I feel like it's really different, and this really hasn't happened to me before. So the only thing that I can think that's different between the ones that I knit last year and this one is the metal needles. I'm not really sure what's going on. I think my plan right now is to knit the other sleeve and just pick up here and just carry on like I was before and see how it looks, because this has taken me a very, very long time. I mean, it is something that I've just picked up and worked on sporadically. It makes me feel unwell thinking about sort of undoing this whole chunk of knitting in the round in this fingering weight yarn. If something similar has happened to you, or you know what is going on here, please let me know. I think it has to be the metal needles, but if it's not, would love to know what is happening here so that I can avoid it in the future. Like I said, this truly is not, it hasn't recently happened to me. I'm sure it happened to me when I first started knitting, but that was like back when I didn't know what gauge was. So that is all for the knitting part. I don't have any acquisitions, which is, I don't want to say it's sad because it's not. I've been going through a lot of stashed yarn and just casting on whips willy-nilly, so it's probably good I don't have any acquisitions. I wouldn't know what to do with them if I did. Like I said, that's it for the knitting. I am going to keep talking about like my various pop culture interests and like other things that have been going on in my life. If you were only here for the knitting, that's fine. My feelings are not hurt. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. So if you've been here for the past couple of ones, I've talked about my plants and given plant updates. I am not at my boyfriend's place anymore, so I didn't bring any plants with me. That seems a little weird to carry my plants around with me every like month. So I have to say I'm missing them a lot. I didn't realize how much I liked my plants until I don't have any of them with me. But my boyfriend has still been sending me updates on them, which is very nice. And my monstera, Stassi, you all remember her. Yesterday he texted me and he sent me a picture of her and she has a new leaf. Yeah, basically every time that I've like thought it was time to record a knitting podcast, Stassi has like popped out a new leaf. So I just kind of like, she tells me when it's time to do a knitting podcast. I have a picture of it from him, but I don't have any of them with me, so no other plant updates, which is really sad. Also, Formula One, we have to talk about the Hungarian Grand Prix. Absolute insanity. I'm still like processing a lot of what happened. I think there's like so much drama that's going on, and I keep going on TikTok and finding out about more drama. It made me kind of sad, honestly, because I'm very happy for Oscar. I think he deserved his first win. He's a phenomenal driver. We all know that. But it's just kind of sad that his first win happened that way. I don't really feel like it was celebrated the way it should have been celebrated. And then it makes me so sad looking at videos of the podium when they're spraying the champagne and Lando goes straight for Lewis and just like bypasses his teammate in his first win. That made me so sad because even though McLaren did them dirty, I still feel like he needed to be a good teammate and celebrate his teammates' first win in Formula One. On the other hand, I don't feel like Lando should have given the position back to Oscar in the race. I completely understand why he is sour, why he is like angry, why he was like pissed off at the end. I completely understand that. But that's not an excuse to be mean to your teammate because your teammate didn't do anything wrong. It was your team that just like royally screwed up the whole strategy. And I was watching it and I was like, I kind of hope he doesn't give the position back because they messed up the strategy. Now he's in the lead and he's fighting for a world championship. He wants to win more races, like to win a championship. So I thought it was unfair that they asked them. Not unfair that they asked them to switch, but it just didn't sit right with me. I was like, y'all get your strategy right. I don't know, a whole other thing. And then the fact that Max and Lewis collided and just got like glazed over because of all of the McLaren drama was absolutely hilarious. And then I saw some tea with Aston Martin about Fernando and Lance swapping places so that Lance could go catch Yuki. And they were like, oh, if Lance doesn't catch Yuki, we'll swap back. And then Lance refused to just swap back. So it's just like, there's so much drama. I feel like, honestly, I need to watch the race again because towards the end I was just like nervous about what was gonna happen and I didn't really take it all in. So I feel like I need to just have another pass at it. Yeah, absolute insanity yesterday. What a season though. Like, can we talk about that? Like, what a freaking season it's been. Thank God it's not just the Dutch national anthem like again and again and again and again and again. You know, Max did great, happy for him, but it's nice to have some excitement on race day. I am caught up on Love Island UK. Well, for me, actually, I haven't watched the past 2 days' episodes. I went on a beach trip with my friends, and then I went to Washington, DC for a wedding, and then I came here to New York, like got settled, and started my new rotation. So I had like no time really to watch Love Island UK. So I spent the past, like pretty much all last week and the weekend catching up because I didn't really have anything better to do. So I caught up on Love Island UK and I just cranked out camisole number 5. I'm on episode 49 is the one I just finished. I guess I'm not even gonna get into specifics, but if you're worried that you're gonna get spoilers and you haven't seen episode 49, skip. Because I might give you a spoiler and I would hate to do that. I feel like it's gotten all right. I always forget that whenever you watch, for the most part, most Love Islands, it takes the first, like, honestly, the first, like, 10 episodes for it to get, like, good, for you to get into it. So I've been enjoying it. If I'm being honest with you guys, there's only one couple that when I look at them, they don't make me want to throw up. Like, one of, like, the more stable couples, one of the ones that, like, is not as new, and it's Nicole and Kieran. They're like the only couple that I feel like is like decent, because I used to be a huge like Sean and Matilda fan. Like when they got together, I was like, this is it. I don't need to see anything else. This is who I want to win. They're cute, they're wholesome, they're happy. And then like all of a sudden, Sean has just been giving me like the biggest ick. I want him off my screen. He keeps calling himself the Candyman. I'm like, stop. It's embarrassing. Ugh. The way he handled all the Casa stuff, and he didn't handle Casa well, but you can not handle Casa well and then handle the aftermath well, and he hasn't done either of those things. Like, I feel like Io, whatever, he didn't really handle Casa well, but since the Casa thing, I feel like he's handled things really, really well. He's been pretty mature about it. Sean has been so immature. Any little thing that Matilda does or did during Casa or has been doing, he's trying to point and be like, see, you're not perfect either. But it's like, they're not the same. It's just, he's just really, really been like annoying me, giving me like massive, massive ick. Really not a fan of him, like at all at this point. Oh, Uma and Will, but they left. I was like, good, because I don't really feel like there's something off about Will. I don't know what it is. I can't describe it. Uma seems great. She seems like a great gal. It seems like she's more into him than he's into her. So we'll see. We'll see. Oh, Jesse and Joey. I'm not buying it. Joey just is, nah, he's something else. Nicole is like mad insecure about all of it, but like they're the only ones they seem like genuinely happy with each other. They seem content. Neither of them have really done anything super egregious in their relationship like the entire time. And I feel like they obviously fight like a pretty decent amount, but I feel like they talk through things, they resolve their issues well. And they're so cute. As of right now, that's what I'm thinking. My biggest question right now, I feel like Io and Mimi are gonna get back together. I don't know though. Jess, the other Jess, seems cute. I like her, nothing against her, but I feel like I want Io and Mimi to get back together. We'll see. We'll see. I feel like it's the next episode that I watch is like when I'm gonna find out if they get back together or if they don't get back together. It's when she like goes up to the terrace to meet him. And it ends with like her waiting for him on the terrace. So I don't know how it's gonna go. We'll see. I did start watching Love Island US. I'm double dipping now with both of the Love Islands, because people in my last video, I asked, I was like, should I watch Love Island US? And so many people were like, yes, you should. So I started from the beginning. I think I'm like 3 or 4 episodes in. I started like 2 nights ago, but my boyfriend's sister is like caught up on it. So I watched some with her the other night, and I watched like the Casa recoupling episode and like another episode after that. So I just like had so many spoilers, but it seems messy, messy, messy. So I'm here for it. So since Love Island UK is like almost ending, I mean, so is Love Island US, but I was like, I might as well watch Love Island US. I took my boards. I don't have to study anymore, so I really have no idea what to do with my time besides knit and then watch Love Island. Love Island US, definitely enjoying the first couple of episodes. I know I'm like a full month behind. I'm sorry, but also the Bravo world, a little bit of Bravo stuff. I finished The Valley. I know, again, I'm several months behind. So I finished The Valley. Made me really sad. Michelle and Jesse and Brittany and Jax. It made me so sad that, well, Michelle and Jesse are like getting divorced, like they filed. Jax and Brittany are separated, not living together, but have not filed for divorce. I mean, I feel like the divorce is coming. Anyways, but it just made me so sad because they both have children. They each have a child together. And it made me so sad thinking about their kids. When they grow up, there is a reality TV show that shows the last months of their parents' relationship. and it is like, it is not pretty. It is like seeing them fighting, calling each other names, all the fights, like the tears, them talking to their friends about everything. Some of it done respectfully, some of it done not respectfully. It just made me so sad thinking about those kids having the ability to watch that, like really just watch like the dissolution of their parents' marriage and having access to that. I really, really, really didn't like it. So it left me with this like really, really weird feeling at the end. Yeah, it turns out Janet's like mad snaky. I didn't realize that. I really liked her the whole season. I was like, damn, Janet's a real one. She's cool, but then turns out she's pulling all these strings, being manipulative about like leaving people out. I don't know. I guess it's just the fact that they all have kids and they're all acting that way. Other than that, I thought it was pretty good for its first season. I had really, really low expectations of the Valley, really, really low. And they exceeded them. So I think if they make a second season, I would watch it, especially if they cancel Vanderpump Rules, which I think they will. There's like more lawsuits and everything with Vanderpump Rules. I haven't been as into it, as like keeping up with all of the lawsuits, mostly because it's just it's a lot. So I feel like I would definitely watch The Valley if there was a second season of it. I don't know how they're gonna handle that with the separated couples, because again, that seems really, really messy and really, really messed up for the kids if they keep having these divorced couples, unless they're able to get on like well. But either way, I'm getting ahead of myself there. But damn, that was kind of a downer. I'm really sorry. And then I'm in a book club with my college friends. Last month we read Bunny by Mona Awad. Thinking about what I said about it during my last video, I was completely off, because I was like, I think it's like a cliquey book about like these grad students and cliques, and it took this turn and it got into like some like magical realism type stuff, and it got so twisted and so like weird, and I loved it. I have nothing but good things to say about this book. It was like the perfect amount of confusing that it made for good discussion at our book club, but it wasn't so confusing that I left it being like, what just happened? I have no idea what was going on. It was, yeah, it was great. It was the best book I've read in a while. So if you're looking for a new book to read, it's just a standalone book, no series. It was a really good book. I really enjoyed it. I don't want to give too much away because it was just like, it was so weird, but I was so like, it just kept taking these weird turns and I didn't see what was coming, and I love when I don't know what's coming next. Like I love when it surprises me. I do kind of want to read some of her other books. I haven't heard anything about her other books. So if you know of this author Mona Awad and you like any of her other books, please let me know, because I loved this book so much and I want to read more of her stuff because it was so good. That is all for today. If you made it the whole way, thank you so much for watching and for listening to me talk about all of my whips that I keep casting on. And I hope you're enjoying the last few months of summer and that your summer knitting is going well if you're a knitter. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!